guys. Hey guys, my name's Christopher Black. I hope you are doing well. Got the great opportunity this morning to talk with our new preacher, Nick. And Molly Leake and myself have been tasked with getting Nick to know our church congregation, our community, and that's a little bit tougher these days with some of the things we've got going on. So he and I are going to have a little chat today and talk about some things. I'm going to ask him some questions, and hopefully that will allow you to get to know Nick a little bit better. So we'll start with some easy ones, maybe throw some tough ones at the end, see how good he really is. So
bring it on.
First of all, welcome to our family. I got to watch your first sermon Sunday, and it was awesome. It was great. So my first question is going to be tell me, as we get to watch you and hopefully get to physically be here to see you do sermons, tell me what inspires your sermons and how you go about developing your sermons that you're going to talk about.
Inspiration for sermons, I mean, it's the text. It's unpacking the text. It's a great question. So typically, I mean, these are not typical times.
Right.
Typically, on Monday, I would read the text several times and then close the Bible and just sit with the text and go about some other business. And then Tuesdays, I'll start reading commentaries and reading blogs and reading and kind of understanding where I'm going with the text and see where other people have gone with the text and see how they line up. And then Wednesday, I start webbing out kind of where I want to go with the sermon. And then Thursday is a writing day. So now that we're I don't know if this is news to anybody, but we're taping the services on Thursday. That kind of throws a wrench in everything. So I'm doing it a little differently, but that's typically how I go about writing my sermons. And then, what's really tough is, we have a lot of different things going on in society, and sometimes you get your finished product, and then something happens on Saturday, and you're ready for Sunday, and you say, I've got to throw this out and rewrite because I got to address that. Because our people are thinking about it, they're wanting to know what is scripturally, where are we at, theologically, where are we at. And so that's been a little difficult, knowing that I already have our product done on Thursday. And so if something happens, maybe I'll do an extra preview. But typically, that's how I go about gathering my sermons. Now, I will say that I plan. My wife's going to laugh at this. I do plan. I try to plan at least a month in advance, kind of reading the scriptures. That's why lectionary is so great, having scriptures and themes in place so that we can choose music and we can choose what we're going to be doing far in advance in service. But writing usually is that week.
Cool. Good to hear. So you've been here. Last Monday was your first day, so this is Wednesday of the next week, so you've got 9 to 10 days in. How's your first week been, and have you enjoyed kind of getting acclimated to First Pres so far in your work?
So far it's been wonderful. I was actually, I know the first day in the office was last Monday, but I was here the week before to kind of look at some houses and figure some things out, kind of get my bearings. I'm staying at Bethel Woods, so check into Bethel Woods and make sure I'm set up there properly, which I am. Thank you. A lot of people have asked, what are your settings like there at Bethel Woods? But I'm fine. And so we have a contract on a house, and so I've been getting to know the neighborhoods and all of that. And then when it comes to office, I've been meeting with our wonderful staff and just kind of prepping the office, getting to know all the policies, and then meeting a lot of the leaders and deacons and elders of the church. A lot of people have stopped in and popped their heads in from a nice 6-foot distance at least. Some masked, some not, but I've appreciated that. I've visited a couple of folks who needed a visit, and it's been very good. It's good to kind of hit the ground running as much as you can during right now, that I know that first priority is staying safe and trying to keep COVID out of our lives and keeping everyone healthy. So that's been practice number one, really.
Gotcha.
So a little different than starting not in a pandemic, but we've been making the most out of it.
Thank you. All right, so I think if people have been paying attention, they know two of your big interests are sports and barbecue.
Right.
All right, so those are the two biggies. So
I'm very unique.
Yes. Sometimes you can blend those together, which is awesome. Tell me about some other things that you're interested in that you enjoy.
I'm a big movie and film. That was kind of my degree, was broadcasting, but you had a lot of film production in there. So love going to the movies or watching a movie at home with family, and kind of breaking down the film and things like that. I quote a lot of random movie lines and just basic conversation. Most of them are from college years, and so my wife makes fun of me. Is like, what college movie was that from 2000 to 2005? But yeah, so I love cinema and TV shows and things like that. Outdoors, my wife grew up in Utah, so she loves to be outdoors and takes us outdoors all the time. She likes to hike for fun. It just, makes me breathe a lot. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I prefer to go outdoors and do things like fishing. I grew up fishing lakes and fishing on the ocean, but recently I've fallen in love with fly fishing, and so I like to fly fish, and I have an uncle that is a fly fish instructor, and so we'll go off and do trips together every now and again. We're planning a trip to Montana next year, and so as long as we're back to normal next year, but yeah, so fly fishing is a big love and passion of mine. So those are some other basic things. And then just being a dad. I like doing dad things, making dad jokes, things like that.
Outstanding. Dad jokes are the best.
Dad jokes are the best.
You don't always get them, but they're good.
And on TikTok, you can find some great dad jokes. And some of you are like, what is TikTok? Well,
I learned that from my daughter the other day.
It is a time suck is what that is.
All right, so when we get back, when we get back to normal. Part of what we do on a Sunday is Sunday school, then we do the big church in here. Tell me about your thoughts on Sunday school. Some ideas that you may have for what makes a healthy Sunday school program, and how we may go to get there. I know you haven't seen it in action here.
Right.
You may have heard about it, but how can we make that as healthy a Sunday school system as possible?
Sunday school is such a tough thing for a lot of churches. So I don't know, like you said, I haven't seen y'all in action, but if you're struggling, don't feel bad, because a lot of churches are having Sunday school issues and getting people coming and going and getting into routine. I found that the most basic thing about Sunday school is just having people that are passionate about Sunday school. And so bringing that energy and keeping people posted and reminded of what's going on this week, and making that anticipation something that's exciting. And then I also like, personally, intergenerational Sunday school. And so when you can get, it doesn't mean that the 2-year-olds are in with the 90-year-olds or something like that, but it means that maybe we're all kind of looking at a similar curriculum, so that maybe ties into the service, so that everyone's kind of talking about the same things and is experiencing similar conversations, so that when you do go home, the whole family's talking about it, and continues that conversation. And so that's kind of my approach to Sunday school, and it doesn't mean it has to be our approach. Y'all may be doing something wonderful that I don't know about, or maybe you think that's a good idea and let's try it. But I think also you have to be flexible in the church, and that's hard to do, but it's important, so that you're listening to all voices.
One of the most important facets of the church is the young people in church. It's awesome to watch them in church, and watch them when they come up for the children's service, and of course up to the youth. What are some ideas or thoughts you have about how do you maintain, develop, increase participation, and just encourage youth, the youth part of our ministry here at First Pres?
Well, that's a great question. Youth was my first passion in ministry, and it's still a passion of mine. I still love hanging out with the youth, because you're going to hear things that you're not going to hear in other circles. I learn more from them than I do anybody else. No hard feelings to the older generations, but the youth always have something new and fresh that makes me stretch and makes me think, and I think that's a good thing. And I think participation in worship, making sure everybody feels like they are needed in worship, especially the youth, is important. And then authenticity, being authentic with the kids. making sure that they know that their voices are important and their voices are heard, and you're listening to them authentically. You're not doing it just for show, and you're not just doing it to get mom and dad to show up to worship, but you authentically want to know what they have to say and what they're thinking, what they're feeling, is a big part in building that relationship with our youth. The other thing is keeping kids in worship. A lot of times our model has been, send them out of worship so that the adults can worship. And what the research has shown in that is that we're sending our kids out and saying, you're not ready for this. Go and listen to this contemporary music, this fun rock church or whatever. And then when they get older, they're not coming back to the traditional worship because they were told they weren't supposed to be here. And so we need to build that bridge to let them know that, this is sacred and why we have our traditions and what's important about them, so that when they grow older and they look for church with their families, they're saying, oh, this is a place where all of us can be invited and warmly welcomed. And I think y'all have done a good job of that, because as I've been studying the church, the family tree seems to connect to everybody. It seems to be a big family church, which is exciting and wonderful. And so I'm anxious to learn from y'all about how you've been able to keep generations and generations still coming. So,
ways of communicating with you. We've got so many folks that are out there that haven't met you yet, and not because you don't want to meet them or they don't want to meet you, just the situation we're in now with COVID. Ways to contact you. Can you give us some ways to contact, whether it be social media, cell, email? How do you want
this, like most people, never leaves my pocket.
Gotcha.
And if I miss you, I'm coming back to it very soon. And it has my email, it has texting. I do all of those forms of communication. I'll set up office hours. Right now, they're kind of all I'm doing, unless I go out on a visit, and I let Barbara know about that. But once we get back into the normal swing of things and my family's here and our lives start moving again, then I'll post office hours so you can just drop by. And I don't mind that. I don't mind to drop by. I love to see people when they come by. But you can always reach me on my cell phone. You can always send a text or an email, and I'll try to respond quickly. And that's so if you don't drop by during those hours, I'm not there, hit me on the cell phone, okay. and I'll find a way to get back to you.
Where can they access that number from? The church direct or church online?
So right now you can get it from the church directory is not updated, but you can get it from Barbara in the office, and my email, same thing. We're trying to get me a new email, so I have a @FPC York email. Gotcha. And so we're still working through some of those kinks, and when we have everything set in stone, then we'll send it out. But right now, if you need to get a hold of me, call the office, and Barbara can get a hold of me pretty quickly.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for talking with me this morning. I can't wait for our church congregation and church family. I've used that phrase a couple times from the pulpit when I've been up there talking to our church family, which has always meant so much to me. But I can't wait for them to get a chance to meet you and talk to you, because I've had the pleasure to get to do that a few times, and I think they're going to really be excited and enjoy meeting and talking to you and allowing you to lead our church. So thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure talking to you this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris, and I can't wait to meet everybody else and get to know y'all a little more better intimately, and thank you so much so far for welcoming to your family, and I can't wait to get my family here.
Look forward to meeting those guys.
They're excited too, so just got a couple more hurdles to jump through and then they'll be here. So very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.